Morning, Top Gun here, 5 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, October 10th, out here in California. This is the world according to Top Gun, Wu Wei, Flow, and Day. So I came across a fascinating and important book by Edward Slingerland called Trying Not to Try, about ancient Chinese wisdom. The basic concept here is Wu Wei, and it's in my opinion very similar to the concept of flow by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. Now, Slingerland wants to draw some distinctions, and that's fine. But basically, Wu Wei is when you're in a state of flow, you have access to your full capabilities to confront a situation appropriately. And your energy is just very centered and balanced, and you're able to navigate life in a highly skillful way, and it's done from in an unconscious way. You're not methodically calculating. You're just flowing. So this distinction between what Slingerland calls cold cognition, which is rationality and calculation, and hot cognition, which is just unconscious and it just proceeds naturally, is very, very, very important. So in the book, chapters 3 through 6, he goes through four ancient Chinese thinkers and their thoughts on Wu Wei. He starts with Confucius, and so Confucius is very much about carving the uncarved block, and through education and effort, you shape yourself into someone who then is able to achieve Wu Wei. Now the counter to that is Lao Tzu, who Slingerland exposits in chapter 4, where Lao Tzu is just like, forget all this Confucianism, forget all this carving, just accept the uncarved block, just go back to nature. Just it's almost like what is that? Drop out, or whatever Timothy Leary, drop out, and just it's kind of Slingerland talks about how the hippies of the 60s are representative of this kind of ideology or perspective, or whatever you want to call it. Now in chapter 5, Slingerland talks about Mencius, who tries to draw kind of a middle ground between Confucius and Lao Tzu, by talking about moral sprouts and saying that, look, Confucius is right, but we don't have to work that hard because we're naturally inclined to Wu Wei. We have what he calls moral sprouts. So we're naturally inclined to goodness and to Wu Wei, and so it's not as arduous an effort as Confucius makes it out to seem. And then in chapter 7, he talks about a philosopher, and I'm gonna have a little trouble pronouncing this. It's see if I can find it here. Zhuangzi. I'm not sure if I said that correctly. And Zhuangzi is very much about he's similar to Lao Tzu, except for that he doesn't recommend dropping out. Because Lao Tzu, dropping out is kind of a rejection of the status quo and a form of ideology in itself. And Zhuangzi is just like, no, you just be, and you just whatever comes up to you in life, you're like a mirror. You reflect it, and you respond appropriately in the moment. And so anyways, when you have Wu Wei, and you're centered and you're balanced and you have your full capabilities at your disposal to deal with circumstances, you exude what's called Day, which can be translated as charisma, or more colloquially as mojo. This energy can be sensed by other people. It affects how they interact with you, and it affects your power to define social interactions. It can be abused, obviously, but if you're coming at it from the right place, it's a very, very powerful thing. So I highly recommend Edward Slingerland's book. And these are very, very important concepts for all of us in living a good life, in trading, in poker, in sports, in any form of peak performance. Fascinating stuff.